So take a moment, check in with your body, and notice if you want to sit or lie down. And we're just going to let the body choose for us in this process. From seated, sometimes it is helpful if you're going to stay seated to book up the back of your mat a little bit and give your hips just a tiny perch. This can create just a little bit more of a neutral low back. And of course, if you're choosing to lie down, you're welcome to bring in any props to this practice. Let's become aware of the breath in the body, inhaling through the nose as much as possible for now, and noticing if there are any subtle obstructions with the breath, knowing that this is very common and it really is natural to notice that maybe we feel that it's easier to breathe in through the left versus the right nostril, or right versus the left. We are not symmetrical creatures. We are not symmetrical in any way. We have different organs on different sides of the body, and it makes perfect sense to sense that even like our nostrils might have different opening and different restrictions or tensions in them. So as we attempt to breathe in through the nose as much as possible, just making a note, does it feel like there is more of an open flow in the left or the right? And maybe if we're sensing any type of restriction, maybe we try to just ever so gently, mindfully flare out the nostrils on that one side. And maybe we activate some of the tiniest muscles in the face to center the breath, letting go of any notion that we're ever going to have a balanced breath. What is it just to center ourselves? As we move through the different breathing exercises through this class today, if at any time your body is having any discomforts, if you feel dizzy, nauseous, maybe the body is just not receptive to a specific breath with a specific pose, know that you can always breathe in any way that feels right for you. Ultimately, this class is an opportunity for exploration. You get to choose the practice for your body, for your mind. Let's become aware of the physical breath in the body as we inhale through the nose or through the mouth. If we feel that it's really easier to inhale through the mouth, you can inhale and exhale from your mouth. Inhaling through the nose or mouth, let's breathe in and follow the breath into the body. Follow it by way of how the physical body interprets the breath. So as we breathe in, we feel the breath moving probably to the back of the throat. And then at that point, the breath could really go a lot of different places. It could go down into the hips, into the lower lungs, the middle lungs. Maybe it shifts to the left or the right. It may stay in the chest. Noticing without judgment and remembering there is no right or wrong breath here. This is the art of observation. Just watch it. Notice that intimate connection between the body and the breath. Chances are wherever the breath is going, that part of the body is the most open to receive. And maybe we notice that space that is most open to receive the breath. And is it possible to soften around that space so that the breath can expand from this effortless place? As the breath expands from this effortless place, different sensations might come up. It's possible for us to experience some discomforts with the breath sometimes, even if we have like soreness in the abdomen, or maybe we've had a soreness in the spine, or maybe we're getting over some sort of a cold or infection. It can actually be uncomfortable to breathe sometimes. So allow your breath to move around those places or through those places with patience and compassion. if you'd like to practice a belly or diaphragmatic breath today, we can always place both hands on our stomach, using the body as a guide to feel for each rhythmic breath. As we inhale, we feel the belly expanding, the lower part of the lungs filling with air, the navel rises, and maybe even the sides of the waist press out. As we exhale, the belly lowers, and you could even press just a little bit with the palms of the hands into the belly to have maybe more of a sense of that energy contracting in the body. In the same way that you would take a balloon and you fill that balloon with air, it expands, it begins to round itself out. And when we release air from the balloon, it shrinks, it contracts. The lower lungs move a lot like that. In fact, they expand 360 degrees. So as we inhale, encouraging the breath to stay low in the body, maybe we breathe into the low back. There is some natural resistance from the earth when we lie down on the floor. So you might even feel that energy in the backs of the lungs, maybe it's just pressing against the earth or against the floor. Feeling for the breath expanding to the sides of the hips, to the sides of the waist. At some point, the breath might want to move up through the trunk of the body. So as we inhale, first filling the lower part of the body, the pelvis and the hips and the low back with the breath. And maybe it feels good to fill up the middle part of the lungs, all the way up into the heart and the chest. And as we exhale, we can soften the chest, soften the ribs, then soften your low back and hips. So from this basic belly breath, we can witness the evolution into a 3-part breath, fully filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying from the top down. And as we fill the lungs from the bottom to the top, filling the belly through the ribs to the heart, filling from the hips to the side ribs, to the space under our armpits, filling the backs of the lungs from the low back to the middle back, to that space between the heart, or moving around your shoulder blades as well. And you may want to count it to establish a rhythm while we fill the lungs. In your mind, you're welcome to count, inhaling 1, 2, 3, exhale, 3, 2, 1. Feel free to count faster or slower, tuning into any authentic rhythm to focus the mind with the breath. Let's take maybe the next quiet minute for each of us to work on establishing our own rhythm. We continue to breathe easy and observe this rhythmic breath. You have some more creative freedom with this breath. We can always practice kumbhaka, pausing after the inhale and even pausing after the exhale, keeping in mind that breath retention is often discouraged, where maybe a doctor has told us to avoid activities that create pressure in the eyes or head. So if you're also working with any blood pressure disturbances that are not being successfully managed with medication, you might want to continue with some seamless breathing. If we've been feeling a little low lately, maybe we're low on energy, maybe the brain is foggy, maybe we've been actively depressed, experiencing a lot of sadness, you might want to experiment with very short holding patterns, defining each breath. So maybe you inhale 1, 2, 3, and then you pause 1, 2, 3. Exhale 3, 2, 1. Pause 3, 2, 1. So keeping those gaps, or keeping that space between your inhale and exhale, space between the exhale to the inhale, keeping it short. These shorter holding patterns can be used to stimulate energies in the body. Consequently, if we have felt very anxious, maybe jittery, nervous energy, panic, anxiety, if the mind has been racing, we could experiment with holding the breath longer. Hold it for as long as it feels right for your body. To calm the nervous system, we create more space, larger gaps between those rhythmic breaths. For the most part, a count of 6 is known as the tipping point. Holding the breath less than 6 counts can be stimulating. Holding it more than 6 counts is calming. Let's take maybe the next 5 to 10 breaths with you observing that space to manipulate your own energy. Remember, if your mind gets busy or if you lose focus, that just means you're human. Simply bring it to the next inhale, counting the breath, observing the time and space that your body wants for processing, and then letting it go. Listening to the body. Now maybe let go of any of those holding patterns, any kubaka, any retention, and become aware of the parts of your body that are heaviest into the floor. Check in with the backs of the heels, check in with the hips and the shoulder blades, even the back of the head, noticing a weight in the body. Let's notice where there are parts of the body that might feel light also, the opposite. Check in behind the ankles, behind the knees, even space behind the ears or space in the nostrils. And maybe find places that are in between, neither heavy nor light, sensations between your toes or between your fingers, the armpits, the top lip and bottom lip. From this place where there is awareness of the body and awareness of the breath, from where we are, let's take a moment and wiggle the toes and maybe bend one knee at a time to place both feet down on the floor in a constructive resting posture. Of course, if we're seated, we could always roll over to one side, sway the knees over, and then lie down on our backs from side lying. From here, we can walk the knees into touching and separate the feet just slightly to add in just a very subtle muscular contraction with our breathing rhythms. Hands might stay on the belly to feel the breath beginning in the abdomen, or we could put our hands down to the side. Let's soften our thighs, soften the knees, soften the low back and hips as we inhale. At the top of the breath, pause for a moment. Squeeze the knees and inner thighs in towards each other and start to slowly exhale, slowing down that exhale. Soften the thighs and the knees. Open for the inhale. Pause at the top of the breath. Contract the knees and the thighs and begin to slowly exhale. With that slow exhale, you're welcome to purse your lips. Soften the thighs, inhale, breath begins in the belly, rounding out the abdomen, the side waist, and the low back. Pause, squeeze the knees and thighs in, and maybe as if you're going to whistle or as if you're going to blow bubbles, begin to purse the lips, slowing down the rate at which the exhale would leave the body. Practicing this rhythmically, connecting the movement or contraction of the hips with the movement in the mouth and jaw. Soft on the thighs when we inhale. At the top of the breath, pausing, contracting the knees and the thighs in towards each other, and contracting the lips. Maybe just a couple more easy breaths like this. Inhale, the whole body is soft, open to receive the breath. Maybe there's just a fraction of effort to inhale. Then squeeze the inner thighs and purse the lips, creating just a little bit of effort on the exhale with those subtle body gestures. When you're ready, allow the face, the back, and the knees to relax. Let's separate the knees out to hips width, and we can stack our feet under the knees. From here, on an exhale, let's draw the left knee in towards the chest. We may want to hold on behind the knee or onto the sides of the legs. That way we keep energy flowing through the kneecaps. When we inhale, we can release that left leg, and then exhale, draw the other leg in, alternating knees to chest with a rhythmic breath. Exhaling as we draw our knee in, maybe pressing our thigh towards our belly to possibly flush out energetic toxins or even hormones that might be flooding the organs there. Maybe improving circulation in that lower gut and pelvis space. For the next few exhales, let's exhale as if we're going to fog a mirror. Exhaling from the throat with almost like a breathy heat that leaves from the body. Inhaling through the nose as much as possible. Exhaling with that breathy exhale, it becomes very audible. We can hear the breath. Take your time to even this up on left and right.
eventually allowing both feet to rest on the floor. Let's place our hands down beside us on the floor, keeping that ha breath and experimenting with keeping the lips together while we use that ha breath. So it's going to seal in some of the breath with heat and also sealing in some energy currents. Inhaling through the nose, lips stay together as we exhale with that ha breath. We can keep that ha breath and introduce a little bit more movement here as we exhale with that ha breath, letting the knees sway over to one side, letting the body choose left or right for us. Inhaling through center. Noticing the exhale, noticing where does the exhale come from? At what point do we really feel that the body opens to release that breath with our ha or ujjayi expression? We may notice that the body may naturally want to pause after the exhale or inhale. In that space, we get to choose. We choose how long we may want to stay in that pause, maybe just holding a gentle twist. It can be very different from left to right. And also the pause may be very different. We might decide we want to pause longer after the exhale versus after an inhale. Just reminding ourselves there is no right or wrong way to breathe. Rather, it's an opportunity to experiment and then notice how it's working for the body. How is it working for the mind? Maybe just for a moment, maybe we experiment with letting those knees sway over to the left. And as we pause there, let's bring awareness into the upper right lung. Inhaling, maybe even feeling that we can breathe more into that upper right lung. Then pause and feel your awareness shifting to the left. Exhaling with awareness moving out from the left side of the body. Repeating that maybe 2 or 3 more times. Inhaling with that right upper lung really open. And then pause, shift your awareness to the left, and exhale from the left lung. You may even give a little bit of color to the breath. Inhaling red light or a warm energy into the right side of the body. Pausing, shifting to the left, and seeing a blue light or a cool energy leaving from the left side of the body. Breathing even along the right waistline, up into the right armpit, pausing, shifting to the left, and then exhaling from the left side of the body, cool blue light. Now, depending on where we are today, we may want to stay here and continue inhaling red, exhaling blue. Inhale warm, exhale cool. You're welcome to experiment with the breath by shifting the knees over to the right. Easy does it as we sway those knees through center, letting those knees fall over to the right side. And then shifting the breath with that physical shift as well. Inhaling into the left lung, up into the upper left part of the chest. Pause, shift the energy to the right, and then let that breath move into the earth from your right lung. Inhaling into the left side of the body, under the armpit, maybe even around the rib. Since we're in a twist, it can feel really challenging to move the belly with the breath. So instead, we're keeping the breath in the upper part of the lung as we inhale, possibly a cool blue light as we inhale. Pause, shift awareness to the right lung. The energy reveals itself as red, warm light, exhaling from the right side of the body. Always stay here, or let's move a little more, bringing the knees through center. Exhale, let the knees twist to the left, and lift that left arm, reaching both arms over to the right. Inhaling through center, arms to center, knees to center. Exhale, knees to the right, arms to the left. And maybe for the next few easy breaths, letting go of any color, letting go of any specific place to direct the breath, just focusing on rhythm, waiting for the inhale to initiate the movement to center, and then waiting for the exhale to initiate that twist. Let's do one more on each side. Absolutely no rush. Letting the breath be our guide. The body is the teacher. Staying within a comfortable range of motion, expressing ahimsa, non-violence to the body. After we even this up on left and right, let's take a moment to center the energy in our hips. We may want to draw both knees into the chest. We could even experiment with opening the knees wide for a moment. Maybe roll out the ankles here and point and flex the toes. It is common for the body to maybe express some little snap, crackle, pops, as long as you don't have any bright lights, dizziness, or nausea with it. Just allowing any of those little sounds or those energies to work their way out the ankles and feet, wiggle the toes. Let's bring our knees to touching, and we can cup our hands over the knees, moving the knees in a very tiny clockwise motion, very tiny. We're going to start really small with this so that it leaves us space to explore. It leaves us room for possibility. Adding in our breath to this, we inhale when the knees move away from the body, opening up the lungs, and then we exhale as we draw our knees in. And as we spiral that energy out, the breath or the various rhythms of the breath might shift to match the movement. We can practice Ujjayi breath, inhaling through the nose, exhale from the throat with the lips together. Or maybe we open the mouth and we practice that ha breath with the mouth open. Stay with this or start to make those movements smaller. Smaller circles, drawing that spiraling energy in towards center and eventually towards stillness with the body. When you're ready, finding the in-breath, switching directions, gentle counterclockwise movements. Spiraling that energy out until we feel the body has its largest expression. Then bring it back in, refine that movement. Let's bring it in again so it becomes small and conservative in nature, tuning more into the breath, less to the body. Coming to a still point with the knees. Let's lower our feet down to the floor and let those knees sway just a tiny bit. Noticing if the body has a preference to sway left or right. We're going to move into side lying based on our body's own comfort. And we'll just hold it here, lying on our sides for a few easy breaths. We might want to pull the knees in closer to the body. So this side lying position is very reminiscent of child's pose. Having the belly contracted here, we now open up the backs of our lungs. Maybe here we find the breath entering in through the hips, the energetic breath entering through the tailbone, moving up the spine all the way up to a space behind the heart. And then we exhale, we relax our upper back, our middle back, and our low back. We might notice the actual breath working with the body, filling the lower back, then the middle back, and then even spaces around the shoulder blades open to receive the breath. Exhale, relax the shoulders, relax the ribs, and relax the low back. Let's notice that breath, maybe a couple of more easy breaths, breathing up and down the sides of the spine into the backs of the lungs. Let's notice what hand we have to support us, to help us to come up to seated. As we push into that supporting hand, we're going to walk our hands around to find an all fours position. If we know that we maybe want to keep pressure off of our knees today, we could always come into any easy seated position instead. This way we're able to create as much comfort in the physical body, which will mean less distraction as we manipulate the breath. From all fours, you could always experiment with fist instead of having a flat palm. And we could even come down onto the elbows to take pressure completely off the wrist and the hands. Remember, you can change your mind at any time, and you're free to experiment. If you always do it one way, maybe just for today, try something different. From wherever you are, we're moving into a very traditional cat and cow flow. Hinging from the belly, we drop the belly, inhale, lengthening through the spine, maybe even lifting the chin just a little bit. As we exhale, we're pulling the belly up and dropping the head and the neck. Matching movement to the breath, inhaling as we move into cow, and exhaling as we move into cat. So you're welcome to experiment once again with that ha breath here. Inhaling through the nose as much as possible into cow. Pausing for a moment to notice when the exhale wants to reveal itself. And then on the exhale, pulling the navel up into the spine. So it is really common to find that we match the inhale to cow and the exhale to cat. And maybe just for today, maybe we stay with that because that could be what's most comfortable to our bodies.
If you want to change it up just a little bit, you're welcome to hold cat pose. So we're rounding the spine. Exhale, stay here, and feel as if you're able to inhale into the backs of the lungs, into the space behind your heart. So maybe we're finding an expression of an expanding breath between the shoulder blades, behind the heart itself. And as we inhale, holding cat, we might even sense that the upper parts of the lungs give us a stretch between the shoulder blades, stretching the rhomboids. When you're ready, let's bring it to neutral spine. From here, taking our left knee off the floor with a flat foot. We're just gently pressing back with that left heel, perhaps even feeling just the evermost subtle engagement of the left glute or buttocks muscle. We could look forward just a little bit as we inhale with that leg lifted. Then point the toe, exhale, round the spine, drawing that knee in towards our left elbow or maybe towards your left thumb. Inhale, pressing back with a flat foot, gently hovering that leg, maybe lifting the head a little bit. And then exhale, pointing the toe. I've had people ask me, is it really necessary to move your foot that way? No, you can do whatever you want with your foot. There is some reasoning behind why we might want to move the foot this way. Flexing the foot as we're moving against gravity helps to stabilize the knees while we introduce some range of motion to that hip. And then pointing the toe helps your foot to clear the floor. Sometimes if you keep your foot flat while you bring the knee in, you'll feel your toes grazing the floor. Let's add in an element here of spinal balance. We might want to take our right arm forward. Again, this is just an option. As we exhale, we bring the knee in, and maybe we bring that right elbow towards the left knee. Inhale, sweeping the foot back, reaching with the arm, and then exhale, sweeping in. So whether you're using the arm or not with this, you're welcome to experiment making this movement a little more active. And we can add in a breath called Vastrika. If you're still getting familiar with some of this yoga terminology, I'm going to demonstrate it first. And in this way, after witnessing it, your body may tell you that it wants to try it, or it may say, nah, I've got other plans today, right? So if you're curious about Vastrika, it's a forceful exhale. It's like this. So it involves like a really strong contraction of the abdomen. I recommend engaging Mula Bandha before that strong. That way it keeps the pelvic floor lifted to support the bladder with that strong exhale. Y'all know what I mean, right? We want to support the bladder, okay? So if you want, you can try it a few times here, and then I'll flow it with the limbs. So maybe 3 Vastrikas here. Inhale, top of the breath, contract the pelvic floor, and now strong hop. Release the pelvis, inhale. Mula Bandha. Relax the pelvis, inhale. Mula Bandha. Now we can stay here with it, or let's lift that left leg, extend the right arm. Inhale, looking forward a little bit, and then bring it in forcibly. Inhale. Couple more. Pelvic floor. Inhale. Last one. Let's relax our hands, relax the feet. Option to take this into extended child's pose, letting the hips sink back towards the heels. Maybe keep the hips lifted, known as puppy dog, or maybe down dog. If your body is craving a down dog, you're welcome to shift forward, put some weight into the starfish hands, tuck the toes, lift the hips.
No matter where you are, down dog, child's pose, puppy dog, we can explore the breath along the sides of the body. So maybe visualize the way fish use their gills to filter water through their bodies, and become aware of your ribs having that same ability to flare out and to stretch. As we inhale, tuning into a sensation of the breath expanding from the heart out to the sides of your armpits, flaring out the side ribs, and maybe even flaring out a little bit of the back ribs as well. So we're clearing out and filtering the breath through the side ribs and back ribs. Opening up that space, the energy of anahata is here, unconditional love. We may want to stay right here. If you're really feeling like this breath is giving your body what it needs, stay here. If you want to experiment with Bhastrika, you can go straight into the spinal balance or give the body a little bit of an adaptation, maybe starting from all fours, tucking the right toe under, just flow in the hip first. So we're working through some chakra energies from bottom to top, opening first through the hip, moving from the navel, inhaling a little bit of cow as we go into that sunbird flow with the leg. Inhaling as we open, exhaling as we contract. Option to add in the opposite arm. So we're taking this into a bilateral, cross-lateral movement, elbow towards the knee. One of the most beautiful things about every yoga practice is that we're able to adapt it to our own body. So at any time, we may want to move just the arm, and you can take the elbow still towards the opposite knee without ever having to bring that leg off the floor. You can keep that sturdy foundation if it feels right for you. If you'd like to practice Bhastrika with this, you can come to all fours for a few and maybe transition into that spinal balance with it. We have like 8 to 10 of these for you to experiment with. I'm going to do 3 of them from all fours, and then I'll flow it. This is just so my body doesn't have any energy surprises. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Relax, inhale, Mula Bandha. Adding in your flow whenever it feels right for your body. Listen to your body. Maybe one more, 1 or 2 more. Your body gets to choose. When it feels right, reset that energy. Down dog, child's pose, puppy dog. It can be extended child's, more of a relaxed child's pose. Let the body choose. From down dog or child's pose, breathe along the sides of the waist again. Maybe even finding a 3-part breath with the sides of the lungs, or 3-part breath with the back of the lungs. Most of us are inverted here, so it can feel very different to practice 3-part breath against gravity. As we inhale, we're not moving the breath down to the belly or down to the back. We're moving the breath up to the hips in that 3 parts. We can hold it here, or maybe create a little more heat in the body with a half series. 1 breath, 1 movement using Ujjayi. Inhaling forward into any plank expression your body would like. Exhaling chaturanga. Inhaling up dog or cobra. And exhaling back, down dog or child's pose. Maybe a couple more, just matching breath to movement. Wait for the inhalation to inspire the movement. Wait for the exhale to guide. Keeping in mind, everything is optional. Everything is optional. Let's meet in down dog or child's pose to center ourselves, thinking about how our bodies may want to make their way to the top of the mat. From here, we could always soften the knees and step one foot forward and then the other, coming to any standing forward fold position. Hands might stay close to the floor, or they may come up onto the thighs so that the head can be higher than the heart to work with a healthy blood pressure. Let's take the hips into a gentle sway, left and right. Notice any subtle shifts in our foundation in the feet. Just noticing without judgment. Noticing any tender places in the feet that we might want to work around. Let's come to a still point with the body to practice an audible ha breath. Then you're welcome to do it with me. If you're shy, I just want to reassure you, I am going to say ha louder than you. Okay? This is something I have to do with kids yoga sometimes when they won't talk, reverse psychology. All right. Big inhale on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Ha. Try making an audible ha. Couple more. Inhale. Ha. Loosen the jaw, loosen the jaw. On this next one, maybe think about sensations in the hips while we're saying ha. How does the sound with that breath maybe shift energy in the hips? Let's try it. Big inhale. 1, 2, 3. Good. Let's soften our knees. Bring the hands to the shins, maybe even up to the thighs, and straighten the arms. Let's find a neutral or flatter expression in the back. From here, reverse swan dive, taking the arms out to the side, then up and overhead. Exhale, bringing our hands down to the heart. Let's circle the arms a few more times with our breath. Inhale, circling up and overhead. You can exhale, bring it down, or take it back and around. Let's, again, just listen for that moment where the exhale reveals itself. And notice what movement is inspired by the breath. So it's common for us to dance inspired by music, inspired by the sound, inspired by the rhythm. The breath ultimately creates that accompaniment for us to move in such a way that is almost like a beautiful dance, choreographed to the rhythm of the breath. Notice if the body wants to pause. Maybe there's that pause after the inhale or after the exhale. Sometimes this pause is known as the gap. It's that place where energy is still vibrating, but not necessarily zipping around. That's where we might experience what we call this infinite potential with the breath. All things are possible in those spaces. And at some point, we make the decision to move with that breath. That's known as our 0 point theory. Inhale, reaching. Option to pause. Infinite possibility in this space. Wait for the next thought in that space. What happens when we watch the mind in that space?
let's take our time, meeting in any expression of mountain, bringing our hands together at the heart. Anjali Mudra, our seal of physical reverence, taking a moment to really breathe in the emotion of gratitude. Gratitude. Here we are in person in a yoga training today. Breathing, feeling, listening to the body. From here, let's step the left foot back in a casual stride for just a really casual warrior one. Bending that right knee. As we inhale, we can open the arms up into cactus arms. Maybe from here, we exhale, swan dive down, bringing the hands onto the thigh. Shifting our hips back. If we're noticing that there's any tension or any places in the hip that feel stuck, maybe they're resisting movement, we can always try lifting that left heel and then angle that heel out a little bit. So maybe it looks like all your toes are tracking forward. What's really common is when we step back, we'll get some external rotation in that left leg. Sometimes it's that rotation that is creating tension in the hips. And just by lifting that heel and turning it back could create a little more space in the hips. It could help with a little more movement. From here, let's slowly begin to straighten that right leg just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. And maybe the hips flip back a little more, reminding the body of cow pose, releasing the belly down and unlocking the energy in the hips. From here, we're welcome to maybe walk the hands down, exploring more of a forward fold with this stance, exhaling from the throat. If there's any tightness in the hips, and this posture in particular can elicit some sensations in the hips. The hips might say no in this pose. Just listen to the hips. If they say no, say, okay, I hear you. I am safe. We're okay. I intend to protect you in this process, speaking kindly to the body. Now maybe we use that paw breath while we're here, relaxing the jaw to possibly create even more comfort in the hips. Let's take in a breath and then exhale. Maybe another one. Now we can also change the sound with the breath. If you'd like to experiment with the sound, I'll chant it with you. I'll count to 3. Let's take in a big breath. 1, 2, 3. Now let your body choose either ha or lum. Maybe we stay silent. We just absorb the energy in the space with the breath. Let's try it. Big inhale. Couple more. No matter where you are with this, shake the head yes. Turn it left and right. Let's take a bend into that right knee. Press back through the left heel, walking the hands up onto the right thigh. Flipping the hips back a little bit to find more of a neutral spine while we're slightly hinged forward. Let's take our right hand to our low back, and we're looking down at our right toe, pulling up the muscles in the pelvis while we're here. Exhaling all the way. Muscles pulled up in the pelvis, chin in. On the count of 3, act surprised. 1, 2, 3, surprise. Navel in and up, pulling the
the belly button in and under the ribs. Try turning just half an inch towards the right. Just half an inch. Okay, keeping that little bend in the right knee. Keep pushing back into that left heel. Staying in the pose, relaxing the abdomen, relaxing the belly. Let's find the breath in the upper right lung. And as we inhale into the upper right lung, maybe we find a little more of a twist with the inhale in that upper right lung. So we're allowing the expansion of that upper right lung to encourage a little more opening. That right shoulder might move back a little more. You can try turning the head in any way that feels natural as an extension of this spiraling line of energy. Pressing firmly back into that left heel while we continue to lunge forward. Straighten that right leg at any time. So this goes from sort of a triangle or a lunge with a twist to more of a triangle with a twist. We could always practice that belly lock energy again, keeping the chin in close to the chest. You could even look down at the outside of your right foot. Exhaling all the way, pulling the muscles up in the pelvis. Pause without taking a breath in. Quickly pull the belly button in and out, just like a surprise. And then maybe twist a little more. Let's hold it there. 3, 2, 1. Release the body. Let's walk our hands around to neutral. Easy does it. Nice and slow. Because no one ever said, I moved so slow and with so much awareness that I got hurt in yoga. No one has ever said that in any of my classes. All right, from here, let's soften, neutralize the hips. Now let your body choose for you. Does your body want to step back into a down dog or forward into standing forward fold, Uttanasana? Let the body choose. And maybe we make a choice and we go, I don't know if this was the right choice. Well, you can change again if you want at any time. From wherever we are, again, shake the head yes. Turn it left and right. Let's find the breath along the sides of the spine, along the sides of the body. From wherever we are, let's take our time thinking about finding our forward fold so we can find a mountain foundation. And at your leisure, you can walk the hands up or do one big reverse swan dive. Fly the arms a few times. Move the body in any natural way. Maybe the body wants to stay with this plane of movement, flying the arms. Maybe the body wants to rotate or move a little more. Maybe the feet are craving a little bit more movement. Think of this as your little yoga intermission between sequences. It's possible that we woke up some of those spiraling lines of energy, so the body might want to explore the practice in different ways. To prepare for this sequence on the other side, let's meet in mountain. Now, for those of us who maybe are aware of a past injury in the back or maybe some tension the back is holding on to, I recommend having the feet a little more narrow than a traditional mountain. So it angles the leg bones in a little bit. Sometimes that can relieve some pressure in the hips before we go into that twist. From here, let's take our right foot back, a casual stride, bending that left knee. Now, the longer the stride, naturally the more that this is going to rotate. So just like before, we can reposition that back leg. We can do it before we do the hip hinge. So maybe pick up that right foot, turn the heel back, and we can bend both knees here too, long as the knees move in the same direction as our toes. From here, let's open, inhale, cactus arms.
Exaggerate the breath in the center of your chest. So how might we experience the breath in a different way if our heart was like a single lung in the chest? Allowing the breath to press forward, letting the chest bow out so that your body expresses itself like a proud bird. Try it. Try it. On the count of 3, all of us, we're going to make a bird noise. Exhale all the way. Big inhale. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Why? Why are we doing this? Because yoga can get so serious. I mean, are we not the embodiment of joy? Is that what we go around preaching in yoga? Let's live that. When you're ready, exhale, bringing the hands down onto the left thigh. Ground that energy. Exhale, release the hips back. Relax the jaw. Maybe even now move the jaw around. Vocalize with the breath. Relax the jaw. Option to walk the hands down a little more, keeping a bend in the knee or straightening the leg. So no matter where that knee goes, we are moving into a pyramid pose, relaxing the head and the neck. Let's try something a little different on this side compared to the last. Let's try Jigwa Bandha. Take the tip of your tongue and touch it against your gum line, directly behind the 2 front teeth. Relax the pockets of your cheeks. Relaxing that space between your back teeth and your cheeks and the back of the tongue. Maybe even feel that right hip dropping a little bit, sort of melting towards your left knee. Exaggerate the exhale, sigh with it. We can stay here. Your body gets to choose. Anything that I teach, it's just a bunch of suggestions. Stay when it feels right for you. Move when your body wants movement. Be still when it wants stillness. If you're curious about that twist with a belly lock, let's walk our hands up to the shin and then maybe onto that left thigh. I do recommend a little bend in the knee here so we can keep energy flowing. We can keep information coming up from the earth through our feet, up through the crown of the head. From here, let's take our left hand to the low back. Bring the chin in towards the chest. Exhaling all the way. Engage the pelvic floor. Mula Bandha. Pause. Uddiyana Bandha. Surprise breath. Navel in and up. Twist just an inch, practicing moderation. Even if your body could rotate more, what happens if we just practice a little moderation with that? Brahmacharya. Pause here, inhale into the upper left lung, and push back into that right heel dynamically. So we have a grounding energy balanced by a spiraling, opening energy. Maybe the head turns as a natural extension of that twist. Imagine a beach ball between the knees, so there's an energy still contracted in. Maybe even try pulling your left heel back without physically moving the foot, and then pressing down into that right heel. And notice any dynamic energy that might reveal itself here. Keeping the chin in towards the chest, exhaling all the way. Mula Bandha, pause. Without taking in a breath, pull the belly button in and up really quick. And then twist a little more. Holding there, release any tension in the abdomen, just hold the twist. You could always straighten that left leg, maybe even open the palm of the right hand. Parivritta Trikonasana, revolving or twisting triangle. One more breath into the upper left lung. When you're ready, or when your body is ready, slowly unwinding, bending that left knee. Easy does it to come out of that spiral line. Slowly, we might want to walk the hands down. And from here, listening to the body to either step forward or back, center the energy in the hips. At your leisure, let's think about how our body might want to eventually make its way up to standing. We can either step or hop it to the top of the mat. Option 2, come up with ease, maybe a reverse swan dive. Let's take a moment to kick off the feet. And if we want to grab a sip of water, maybe grab a sip of water before we do our standing upright balancing posture. Does it feel just a little bit warmer in here, or is it just me? Did we get a little tiny warmer? Okay. Okay. Oh, it's so great that we have so much wall space in here. This is such a great tool for us to use to get like any concern with the body out of the way with balance, so we can really focus on the breath. So if you think you want to maybe scoot to the wall for your balancing pose today, you're welcome to. I'm going to use this pillar right here, and I'm just going to refer to the poses now from inside leg, whatever leg is closest to the wall, versus outside leg, and we'll be able to experiment with some balancing postures this way. So let's take our outside leg and just lift the knee with the foot flexed. From here, we can open that knee out to the side and maybe cross the ankle on top of the thigh, or we could always keep it a little bit longer. We're flexing the foot in this particular pose to stabilize the kneecap, which hopefully helps us to truly rotate in that hip joint, finding that rotation energy just in that outer hip. From here, let's take our outside arm, extending it straight up towards the sky, imagining that we're holding on to 100 helium balloons. Breathing down into that outside lung, since we are stretching the side of the body. This is the lung we're going to focus on. So whichever arm is extended, that lung, breathe down into the lowest part of that lung, through the sideways, up to the armpit. And at the top of the breath, reach a little more from the shoulder. So we're allowing the stretch to be accentuated from the expansion of the lung, from the inside out. As we exhale, we might notice that the lungs naturally begin to contract. So the muscles are going to naturally pull back, and we might lose a little bit of length in the spine here. We might lose a little bit of the length in the side body. That's natural. Let's notice if we can use the expansion of the lung on that side of the body to tune into that sensation of expansion at the top of the breath, and then exhale a little bit of contraction. Just a little bit. Now you could most certainly resist that contraction and notice how it feels. Inhaling, taking a little bit more breath, maybe a sip of breath, maybe a couple of sips. Holding that extension while we exhale. Notice how any sensations might change when we resist the body's natural urge to let go. Notice what happens when you resist letting go. Is there more or less comfort when we resist that natural contraction in the body?
What happens if we just let go? What happens if we allow the body to exaggerate that letting go? Inhaling, reach. And now just let go. Where does the arm go? What does it do? How does the energy shift? Exactly. Let's try it maybe one more time. Inhale, reach, and then just let go. Let it all go. Let's try that on the other side. So we might want to turn around or reposition ourselves in some way. Lifting our outside leg, foot is flexed, turning it out, truly rotating in the hips, and then crossing over. So this hip and pelvis energy and energy work, it does a lot of holding on. If there's any attachment issues, anything that we're holding on to in our lives, any addictions, any samskaras, any behaviors or habits that we're trying to break, that energy can get stuck right here in the pelvis and the hips. Let's take that outside arm up, again, holding on to 100 helium balloons. So there's that sensation of being firmly rooted or firmly grounded into the earth while we are reaching towards the sky. So really step into that standing foot. How might the sensation shift if you were to feel yourself stepping into soft earth, that feeling of that foot sinking into the earth, and yet the earth rises to meet us. Allow the expansion of the breath in that upper lung to reach a little more towards the sky, reach from the armpit. Keep reaching while you exhale. Notice how the muscles and the connecting tissues from the lungs and the diaphragm to the more superficial parts of the body, they pull on the ribs and it pulls on the arm a little bit. So maybe tune into that expansion and contraction, that stretch and release. And at some point, resist it. Inhale, reach, and resist. Keep reaching while you exhale. And of course, let's practice letting go. Aparigraha. What happens if you just let it go? Let all the tension go with the breath in that arm. It's okay to hold on a little bit. It's okay to say, I don't want to let go all the way quite yet. That's okay. Just notice if that's what your body says to you. Some people change, they make really quick changes in their lives to affect change. Some of us, it's more gradual. Notice what your body likes. You can try this another couple of breaths. Absolutely no rush. When it feels right for you, let's find ourselves on our mats again, and we can take our sweet time coming down onto the mat for seated. If you are looking for a little bit of guidance today on ways to protect the body to come down, we may want to take one foot back, having both hands on our thighs, slowly lower down. And then from here, we might want to walk our foot out to the side so we can safely make space to bring our hands to the floor. And then we could bring our foot around and slowly sit back. So that's just one way to transition from standing to seated. Let's stretch our legs out and shake out your knees. So let's do a few movements that involve crossing over the midline. These types of movements are used to promote overall coordination, and also it recruits a lot more parts of the brain when we cross the midline today. So just for today, let's take our right knee, bending the right knee, and we'll cross it over the left leg. And you can always take your left leg and angle it more to the edge of your mat. Sometimes that makes the pose more accessible. We can hold it right here, or we can also bend that left knee and bring it in. So
let your body choose for you. That left leg is not so much going to be a key player in this. It's more about this right leg crossover. Something else we can try if we're noticing any resistance in the hips is a little bit of a perch. And it's amazing how just a little bit of a lift along those sits bones, that little bit of elevation can help to tilt your hips forward. Now, no matter where you are with this, let's take our left arm and reach it up, anchoring down through the left and right hips, inhaling into this upper left lung, reaching towards the sky, allowing the spine to grow up and out from that left armpit. As we exhale, let's slowly bring that arm around. Maybe we pause with the elbow at the knee, or maybe we take it to the outside, keeping our right hand really close to the body, or take it behind you and lean back a little bit if that feels better. Making sure that we can bend that right elbow. So this is a pose where commonly our elbow wants to lock out, so keep that little bend. Now notice the path of least resistance for your breath in your body right now. What part of the lung is most open? What happens if you try to do a belly breath here, right? We're quite literally, we'd have to funnel the breath down because the upper body is really open. It's like a triangle, right? Where the point is at the bottom and it's open at the top. So maybe we just notice what part of the body is most open to receive the breath and let it be there. It could be that upper right lung. Is it possible maybe even to feel the breath moving from the left shoulder blade? Maybe the breath is behind us. Maybe that's the path of least resistance. It could be the left side of the back shoulder blade, and then maybe the breath moves to the upper right lung. So it goes from the back to the front plane of energy. Reminding ourselves here, I am not my body. I am not my breath. I am not my thoughts, my emotions, or my observations. What might it feel like holding this pose without awareness of your body, your thoughts, your observations, your emotions? What might that be to experience just your being? Pause after the exhale. What is there left to experience when we don't experience the breath? Stay here for as long as it feels right for you, or slowly ease up on any tension in that left shoulder or that left elbow, and slowly bring it around to center. This can feel very different from left to right. Hips have unique personalities. And you have a liver on one side, intestines on the other, so it can feel very different. Letting go of any judgment as we move into the other side as to having one side more or less flexible. Finding that length in our spine, inhaling. Finding as much length in the spine as possible so that we are preventing any excessive pressure in the disc. When you're ready, slowly bringing it around into your twist. You are welcome to practice that Uddiyana Bandha, belly locked. Maybe get a little more rotation. To do that, it's chin down. Exhale all the way. Pause, engage the pelvic floor muscles, urethral squeeze. Exhale, little surprise, belly in and up. It's the same movement you would do if ice was slipped down the back of your shirt. It's just a quick, and then twist a little bit more. Let's notice the left elbow here, using that left hand to support, keeping a little bend in the left elbow. Lower the chin enough so an egg could roll off your head. Pratyahara. Just simply softening the senses. Let's find the breath. Find it in your back, maybe under the left shoulder blade. Feel it move through the center of your chest, revealing at the other side of your body, the left chest. Inhaling into the right shoulder blade, through the center of the body to the left side of the chest. Feel free to affirm to yourself now, I am open. And maybe you refine that affirmation. I am open to new ways of living, new ways of being. I'm open to change. Right for you, let's release any tension on that right arm or in that right shoulder and slowly bring it around. Let's take our sweet time, crossing our legs, shaking out our knees a little bit. Let's prepare our bodies for final relaxation and guided meditation. If you have any props around you, feel free to use them to come down to lying on our backs from seated. There is the option to use one leg straight and then to contract the belly. There's also the option to let the knees sway over to one side and then to walk ourselves down to the floor and then roll onto our backs. Many paths, one destination, Shavasana. I'm going to lower the lights just a little bit. I want to reassure you that the room will stay lit enough so that the exit door is always visible and a path to the exit door is clear. So at any time, should any sensations or impulses to move, anything that you feel you want to deal with outside of this room, you are free to get up at any time. Let's be aware of the breath all around us, and we're swimming in it. Just like a fish in water, we are swimming, immersed in our own breath, our own life force. If you could give the breath a color around you, give the air a color. Maybe we start with a shimmery white light. Seeing the breath or experiencing it with a sense of knowing that we are immersed in this white, vaporescent type energy all around us. You might experience it like a cloud, light and airy. Maybe it's like an electrical current that's like static on a TV. Maybe you experience it through the sense of sound, experiencing it like white noise or the sound you would hear if you put a seashell up to your ear. As we inhale, let's trace the path of our breath down into the lungs. And maybe we begin to notice as each moment is passing, as we inhale. Maybe we notice a point where we feel completely satisfied with our breath. The bigger breath is not always the better breath. The breath might stay very still and shallow in the belly or the chest. Do we experience contentment, santosha, with the breath? At that point, we may want to pause and just simply say to ourselves, acknowledging that sensation, I have enough. I have enough. That feeling of having enough. Center of your brain. In the same way, you could be aware of your right thumb, left foot, left ear, the tip of your nose, the center of the forehead. Become aware of the very middle of the brain. Let's sense the breath about 12 inches in front of us, 12 inches from the tip of our nose. And as we inhale, we draw the breath in from that point in front of the body. We draw it into each nostril to the very middle of the brain. And then we exhale, and the breath leaves like a single ray of white light from the middle of the brain out the center of the forehead. Simply feeling the breath, knowing where the breath is, it approaches us and we open to receive the breath. Then seeing it or knowing that it is a single ray of white light moving from the middle of the brain out the crown of the head. Have a sense of the breath approaching you. Open to receive the breath. Breathe in to the middle of the brain. Soften the temples and the edges of your eyes. And as you exhale, the energy splits, moving out the temples. Now maybe we noticed right away that the energy has a preference. From the middle of the brain, does it continue to go up through the crown of the head? Does it go out the third eye? Or does it split, moving out the temples? Simply tune into the pattern of energy, and let's just observe it for the next 2 quiet minutes. or just shift awareness to the inhale, noticing the inhale, and noticing any sensations in your left nostril while we inhale. As you exhale, notice any sensations in the right nostril. Let's try that for the next 3 to 5 breaths. Inhaling in through the nose as much as possible, awareness of the left nostril on the inhale, and then awareness of the right nostril on the exhale. That awareness may come with a visualization, so maybe we see this lovely blue light, silvery blue, moving up into the left nostril as we inhale. And as we exhale, we see a red light leaving out the right. Stay with this or shift it. Inhale, red into the right. Exhale, blue out the left. Noticing if the body has any preference and acknowledging it's just a color shift. It's just an awareness shift. And even with that subtle shift in the mind, we may already notice a preference. Let's inhale through both nostrils down into the lungs. And for the next few easy breaths, we might be chanting rhythmically in the breath, allowing the chant or the sound to rise up from the mind space, keeping our whole body relaxed as we cycle sounds through the body. Inhaling, hearing the sound ah, exhaling, hearing the sound ta. Ultimately, our perceptions and the awareness of all of these things make us who we feel ourselves to be into existence. Noticing that intimate connection between the body and the breath, our ability to change the breath, our ability to watch how the body is moving and to feel parts of the body with the breath. From this place of awareness, take in an inhale and exhale, pause. What part of the body might want to move in preparation to come to seated? It could be the fingers or the toes. It could be flaring out the nostrils or clenching the buttocks. Any part of the body might want to speak right now. Depending on where we are in this moment, we may want to move in very different ways. Let's deepen the breath, and as as we deepen the breath, this could inspire just a little more movement from the body. Now, for most people, we may want to bend one leg at a time first to protect our low backs. Of course, if your body knows how to move in a way that's right for you, move in any natural way. We may want to let the knees sway a little bit, so we unlock and introduce a little more movement into the hips. Notice what feels more comfortable, swaying to the left or the right. We might want to roll over onto one side and hold it there, 3 to 5 breaths, giving the body a little bit of time to assimilate to this different position, different plane of movement, just preventing any vertigo or energetic dizziness. When it feels right for you, check in with your body. Let's make our way slowly up into Sukhasana, easy seated. If you'd like to take your peace fingers up and maybe curl the ring finger and pinky finger into your thumb. You can stretch the peace fingers out. You can hold them up in front of you or put them down on your lap with the palms up. Prana Mudra. Lengthening through the spine, softening the jaw. Tune into the element of expansion and contraction in the body with the breath. Maybe take a big breath in, inhale, hold it, and notice what does it feel like to be full with the breath. That sensation of expansion. Hold on to that memory of expansion while you exhale. Softening the whole body. Let's pause after the exhale. Maybe even pull the side ribs in, pull the belly button in, and hold on to that sensation of contraction while you inhale. Inhaling. Ah, ta. Inhale the sound ah. Exhale, hearing ta. From here, we can bring the palms together at the heart, traditional closing gesture of Anjali Mudra. Let's draw in a deep, unifying breath together and let it go with a sigh. From here, we can bow together in closing. Namaste, everybody. Don't have to jump up or go anywhere. We're going to take a good break right now, at least 10 minutes. And in this time, if you would, just journal a couple of things. You can really write whatever you want if you're inspired right now. What did your body like? Was there anything that you chose to do in the class? Any instruction that you kind of just went with and you thought, wow, I really like this? Was there anything that your body didn't like? Was there anything you tried and your body was like, no, not digging it, right? So anything your body liked, anything the body did not like. Any distractions, anything that's just lingering from that experience. Make note of that as well. Okay.